this is Smita Kumar and you're watching Medicircle. Today on our healthcare startup series, we have Dheeraj Jain with us. Dheeraj is the founder of Redcliffe Life Diagnostics and Prista IVF. He has done his MBA from CAS Business School and he was a senior manager at Nokia. Along with Vikas Bagaria, he co-founded PSafe. He's an active early stage investor with a strong portfolio of 40 companies across the United States, Singapore and India. Welcome to Medicircle, Dheeraj.
Thank you, Smita. Thank you.
So to begin with, Dheeraj, what motivated you to start Redcliffe Life Diagnostics? And please tell us about the venture strengths.
Right. So we're back in 2018. My sister-in-law got diagnosed with breast cancer, and we had a similar sort of thing in the family, my wife's family. And we were kind of wondering why genetic testing, which is the core fundamental for, finding treatment for oncology, why that's not in the mainstream. And that sort of made us sort of think about it, that while I'm investor in so many other companies, can I get really full one mainstream thing, which I can really carry on for a very long time. And that was a starting point to put together a very super specialized test lab in Delhi and working with sort of key opinion leader towards building new research in diagnostic space around cancer, rare disease, reproductive health. And that was sort of really the forte for 2.5 years. We worked very hard and had, 15 different research publications, new novel tests. And then we were able to actually go out into the market and really convince the key opinion leader and clinicians to actually work with us. And so we built up a small brand for us in the specialized space. But when the COVID hit, that was a time I think we were kind of thinking what would be really the big mainstream thing, because the healthcare obviously become a talk of every home, and every home actually tested COVID at least once at home. And we found that phenomena very unusual, because people would go to a center to give blood sample to do a test. And we said, if this is happening at home, what would that mean to a large transformation? And we realized if we can actually build the routine testing also at home by collecting the sample and building a lab near to where they are, and if we can build up a very pan-India approach in this whole thing, this would be very different. And if you can scale this up, the moat or the clear strength would be that today you can actually go to any consumer in less than 30 minutes. Like the way you get your food in 30 minutes, you can actually do a testing and collect the sample and give it to your local lab. So we were thinking, can you actually think about building a Zomato, Swiggy kind of business from not on the delivery, but on a collection, like in Amazon, where you can track your sample and your tests on the real-time basis? Can you build up a huge tech around it? And then secondly, would that be an opportunity to also build up a very large test portfolio, which was very limited to a limited test for most of the guys? And if you can actually build up a scale with local lab, this would be the first pan-India national lab chain with both genetic, specialized, super specialized routine, both at home and also at the centers. And one can build this could be one of the largest healthcare venture. And on top of that, you collect so much of data. And with that data, can you go back to these consumer and talk about the diseases they're suffering with? And can you reverse some of the diseases by reversing organically? And those are the kind of opportunity comes, which I'm going to talk about as well, which we're doing very different from most of the labs. So not just the lab business, this becomes a proper healthcare business with lots of personalized touch to the whole thing. And our motto back in 18 to do a personalized medicine by genetic, but now we have sort of expanded this to a routine. And what a phenomenal success I think we have had in the last sort of 1.5 years. And we're happy to talk about that. At the same time, we also started doing an IVF business with other clinics from doctors who are leading doctors in the country and partnering with them. And that's a brand called Prista IVF. Today, we are the third largest IVF company in India.
That's great.
All of that has been done in the 1.5 years time.
That's commendable, Dheeraj. So far, how many healthcare providers you have got on board, and how many patients have you served so far?
I think we have crossed 1 million families.
Okay.
So more than 10 lakh families have been tested with Redcliffe Labs lab portfolio, which ranges from a basic, we call it biochemistry, glucose, basic thing, to all the way to genetics. We look all sort of different health, lifestyle diseases, lifestyle changes, which some of these diseases people would probably want to prevent. Uh, and a basic smart full body checkup, which looks all the possible vitals. I think that's a product we want to bring it to the mass. 4 out of 5 families in India have never tested ever, which means that 80% of the population is yet to kind of really experience this for the first time. Where one of the other thing, so in this 10 lakh families we tested, nearly 50% come from tier 2, tier 3 cities, which means deep India is yet to be penetrated by these big lab chains. And we've decided that we want to build up our scale and brand as much as we are doing in Delhi and Mumbai, we want to do in these cities. And right now is to go into this tier 2, but right after April, May, we're going into tier 3 and tier 4. So I wouldn't be surprised if you ever end up going for a holiday in the hills, or you're going on the beach, or anywhere else in the country for work or religion purpose. You will see us over there with our local lab and collection center. We obviously collect from home. We're collecting today from nearly 5,000 homes a day. And that 5,000 homes a day, that we are nearly processing 5 lakh tests a day, because each of that package have 100 tests on an average. And that drives us to how do we scale this to a 50,000 tests a day, which will be nearly 50 lakh tests a day, a scale which no other company in India ever had. We are market leader in the home collection already.
Yes.
In the home collection, we are bigger than the listed large companies of India and the online companies. And all of the scale has come because consumer minds have changed. They don't think that testing has to be done at the lab or the clinic or hospital. It has to be done at home. Also, we are able to give price benefit to consumer. They don't have to pay 3 times more than they deserve to pay for some of these tests and packages. And also we're doing repeatedly for them, which means we're helping them to prevent a disease. Very different thought process, both for us and consumer. And our relationships are so sticky. We're seeing 30% repeat every 4 months for these consumer.
That's a repeat customer thing. Okay.
Yes.
So, Dheeraj, what is the unique value proposition that Redcliffe have over other home diagnostics ventures like Healthians, for instance?
So clearly, comparing to Healthians, who are, what they have done in the last 6-7 years, very commendable of Healthians and Deepak, what he has built, and Nishant. We've been learning from them to build up the home collection business. But what Healthians doesn't have is our larger portfolio. So we got 3,500 tests, which ranges from a basic biochemistry to all the genetic. As I was saying in the beginning of the discussion, that our forte has been the specialized and super specialized. For 3 years, we have actually gone deep into that. Even today, one of the largest research on the breast cancer gene expression, which connects the tumor aggression level to gene variants, is done by where Redcliffe participated and sponsored. This is just to give you one example. So we are very research focused. We don't take things granted. We scientifically find out and work with clinicians and really need the proof and peer reviews for everything we do. So our strength has been on research and clinical side, which sometimes we beat even the larger companies in India in terms of the diagnostics. So clearly the test menu, very large. Our own local labs, we have labs with all of that capability locally. So we've Indore, Raipur, Patna, Guwahati, Bhubaneswar, we have labs, we have infrastructure. We have a big offline presence. We have 500 collection centers so far, going towards 2,000 collection center end of the year. Some of the largest diagnostic companies do not even have that kind of scale. And with that comes together, our ability to go and talk to consumer and find out more about diseases. So we are looking disease profiling, which is very different from most of the diagnostic company. We're giving tests which were never discussed or never consumer will never approach. Then we work with doctors to do a lot of new research in reproductive health space and cancer space. So not just a diagnostic company, this is a full-fledged healthcare company, very different from most of the guys. Most of the guys are doing a great job, but I think we were able to do all of this, but we were able to do scale, which makes a difference. Today, we are nearly at a 30 crore monthly revenue business.
Okay.
At an annualized level, that take us to 360 crore. puts us in the top 5 diagnostic company of India.
That's great. So
Yeah.
you just raised $10 million in Series A round, and so how were the funds utilized? And are you looking to raise more funds in 2022?
We are closing a fundraise process. There will be a proper media announcements on that. I will let that happen. This is not very far, but
Okay.
yes, we
Congrats.
raised 10 million. Thank you, thanks. There's the process towards the last leg of that, but we and we have large institutional support coming up, which means institutional funds who look scale, who look high governance companies with core values always intact, but super institutional system and processes around, where it's not driven by founders, it's driven by organization themselves. That's the level of institution is getting built under Redcliffe Labs. Therefore, the investors are also very institutional in their approach. No one-man show, no, it's driven by larger goals, driven by board. And that's the level of company Redcliffe Labs is building up with these investors coming on board. But yeah, no, we used 10 million. We actually raised more money than 10 million. I think all of these details, when we do the press release, will come into that. But it has been a continuous fundraising process. We try not to make too much noise on funding. We try to make noise about our of the goal we are working on. Sometimes we do make noise on the achievements, but I think funding gives us more responsibility than ever before.
Yes.
And therefore, I think our investors also believe it's good to market the achievements more than anything else.
Definitely. So just a last quick one, Dheeraj, like what goals does Redcliffe Life Diagnostics want to achieve in this year, 2022?
I think we want to touch 15,000 families getting tested every single day at home with us. That's one. We want 2,000 collection centers operating in all parts of India, wherever we are labs, and in the 200-kilometer vicinity of that lab. And these 2,000 collection center bringing another 15,000 families a day, at least, getting tested through doctor network. We want 10,000 doctor network built where we can actually talk to them about our tests and research. We also launching some other products and services which are yet to be announced, but that would basically reverse diseases organically. And we're working on algorithms, AI, ML technology. We're partnering with other technology companies to build all of that, who have FDA approved platforms. So I think real goal is that we can bring these technology on to consumer by actually not confusing them by new technology, but by giving them experience about the goal of the Prime Minister and the government is that we want Swachh and Swasth Bharat. So the Swasth part is where we take that responsibility, saying, can we actually work with these families who have mix of people with 60 plus in age, young folks, and the middle age who have lots of lifestyle changes they can make to be more healthy, and can we be part of that conversation by testing them and advising them on a regular basis. We also have radiology business under Redcliffe Imaging that's scaling up. There the goal is we want to touch 100 crore monthly revenue just from the radiology piece, and we have our own centers coming up in radiology, but we're also partnering with others. So large pathology and radiology business, I think we want to be in the top 3 of the diagnostic end of this year. And then 2 years down the line, we're looking to be in really be the market leader, and then going to unlock that value which is going to create it in the last 4 or 5 years to a capital market, to make all our shareholders very proud of what they have backed from very early on.
That's great news. So Dheeraj, just a last message. If you want to share some message to all those fellow entrepreneurs who are watching this video, also for those young generation Indians who want to start their own startup.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, think about a large problem you're trying to solve. Doesn't matter if somebody else have solved, but if you can solve this in a very different way, or you can solve more efficiently, there's market still open to that. My kind of thing is always look the large market size, look large market where the problem lies. Doing niche things is always good, but you don't get investor attention. You get investor attention if you look a large market size. Second is, funding is not it's a validation for sure what you're doing, but that shouldn't disappoint you to not do it or do it. It will always come if you're really doing the right thing. And third is that keep your team is the most important. Find those stars, find those guys who you can work with. Even you have to give away your equity, bring your co-founders, founders, build up a team, a super solid team. Financial outcomes are always good, small or big. It will always come, but I think it's really the quality of that execution. So all boils down to execution, and that remains the core. I mean, that's what I think the focus for founders who are just starting their businesses. And there's so much to learn from the ecosystem. Be part of the ecosystem. I think Indian startup ecosystem is very different what it used to be 7-8 years back. When I started investing 5 years back, very different since post-COVID. Opportunities are humongous here. And I think great times ahead for Indian startup ecosystem for the next 7-8 years.
Definitely. So thank you so much, Dheeraj, for joining us today for Healthcare Startup Series. Redcliffe Labs is doing definitely tremendous job, especially diagnostics becomes so much important when nearly 70% of our clinicians' decisions are based on the laboratory results or the diagnostic results. We need faster results, easier accesses, and most important fact, affordable tests to be done so that there is lot of testing and diagnosis happening. In lot of cases in India, there is no diagnosis happening, and that is why the late screening actually aggravates the condition for of all such diseases, and also in case of oncology. So definitely it's a very, very good step, because through Redcliffe, they are trying to bring down the cost and making it more affordable, and a good plan to reach to the remotest of pins of India. So thank you once again, Dheeraj, for joining us, and
thank you
with your next roundings of fun.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Smita. Thank you to Medicircle as well. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.